Welcome back to the Giant Beastcast. Gotta remember not to do that if you're feeling lightheaded. Episode 263rd. Friday, June 4th, I don't know, 5th, or Thursday, June 4th, if you're there. Whenever you're listening, it's the right time to be hearing the Giant Beastcast here. Joined as always by Alex Navarro.
Hello, Vinny. I am here as always. I'm always here. I can't leave here.
Abby Russell.
Hello. You saying the date just reminded me that my mother's birthday is in just a few short days, and I should look into a gift.
Happy birthday. And
Yes,
Jeff
happy birthday to
Baclar.
my mother.
Vincent K. Caravella, how are you?
You're close. It's not K, but you're close.
Does K stand for Kenny?
No, it's not K, but you're close.
It's
close.
J, isn't it?
Well, I
It's
don't
J.
necessarily want
The L?
to give any more information about my personal life out there, but if you guys want to start guessing the social security number, I'll hold up a thumbs up or whatever if you want to get in there. Are we going to do confirmation
Anyway.
names as well? Yes, anyway.
Hello.
Hi, how
Hello.
are you?
Oh,
How is anyone?
yeah.
How is anyone? How is everyone?
There was an interesting thing over the last couple of shows as I wanted to scream and swear more as I do in my head, as I mentally do in my head where the kids are in the house or around where I can scream. I kind of say out loud. We'll say something like, "Oh, hey, can we swear on this show or whatever?" And I saw somebody thread being like, "Oh, does Vinny not swear anymore?" And no, it is literally me doing killing time as I wonder where the kids are. Because holy fuck shit.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's I don't want to get too so if people listen to the Bombcast, you will probably find a slightly more coherent version of some of my feelings as the days have gone by. My mental state has gotten a little more fragile, so I apologize if it is not all quite there, but some feelings I would like to express before we get started are a big thank you to everyone who has given their voice and their time and their body, and I would even say their lives to help support what is going on in protest of systematic and institutionalized racism and government murder that we've kind of witnessed over the last week there. So a big thank you to those. I think that is super important and brave and hard to do. And thanks everybody who has been able to do it and keeping the pressure up and the volume up on it. It's probably the most important thing there's so much piled on right now for everybody. Mortgages still need to be paid. People still need to find, this is all on top of so much other stuff. But I think it's important to remember that this is, especially if you're in the United States, this is our country, and this is what you do when you need to check power and you need to call out institutions that have abused it. And this is what it looks like. You need to, when those institutions fail, Americans, people of color, we're all in this as Americans. When people fail that, you need to step up and you need to call them out. And sometimes that's very ugly. And I applaud the people who have been able to keep that up. So thank you very much. I'm sure we'll go around. And again, if you caught the Bombcast, there's more to be said. It has weighed on me as a bunch of other people. So this show might be a little scatterbrained. I apologize for that. But I don't want to hog up all the mic time here. How's everybody else doing?
That's very well said, Vinny. I want to echo what you're saying already. Like, Black Lives Matter unapologetically. I think the police system is very broken. It's very disheartening to see what is being done to a lot of protesters. And I really applaud the bravery and the risks protesters are putting themselves in by going out there and defending our country.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. And when these things happen, I always try to remind myself, talk slowly, think through what you're going to say. And it's hard not to get very emotional and use the wrong, so much language is so, has so much baggage with it. So, choosing the right words to use. But like, if you, like, I don't want to use the word patriotic because it's so colored, but like, it is what America is. You see these things, you need to step up and raise awareness when there are failings there. And remembering that these are citizens of these are people with the same rights we were all born into here. And even if you're not American, when you come over to this country, you have rights, and they're not given to you because of your color of your skin. They're not given to you because of your paycheck. They're not given to you because of who your father was, and well, they shouldn't be. And when those things are taken away, or when you have institutions that are not serving that public, that's it. You've lost the trust, and the public needs to get out there, and they are. And again, that's thank you is really, I think, the only thing I can say to the people who are watching this who have been able to do it. And I know there's, like I said earlier, it comes on top of so much other grief and strife. It doesn't mean that suddenly you have a job now, right? or suddenly there's not massive unemployment, or suddenly, your kids aren't sick, or your parents aren't sick, or all the other million things in your life that are happening aren't sick. It's a really incredible, stressful time for a lot of people, and it's very hard.
I mean, I think it speaks volumes that people are out there at a time when, people absolutely know that it is not just a risk of, police violence being inflicted upon them, but literally their health is at risk just by virtue of being out and around people in the middle of the COVID pandemic. And a great number of the people that are out there protesting are the ones that are the most at risk for the most fatal parts of COVID, yet they are still out there. They are putting their bodies on the line. They are speaking, truth to power. And they are being met with overwhelming violence in return. Like, we can sit here and we can, pretend that this is like, obviously this is not the first time state violence and police violence has been used against protesters in this country. But I think that the sheer volume of force that we are seeing, and the sheer amount of placating we are seeing from political figures trying to figure out a way to somehow thread a needle that doesn't exist between the reactions of the police and the reactions of the people, it's borderline pathetic, and it's upsetting, and it's enraging. And at this point, there's really, to my personal feeling, there's absolutely no room for fence sitting on any of this. Like, it's about what's morally right and what's morally just. It's about finding justice for people who have literally been killed by the state. And at this point, there's no room to say, well, I don't want to get involved in these politics, or I don't want to hear about this shit, or I don't want to be, I don't want to. I feel like both sides, there's just no room for it anymore. The
institutions have failed us. They have completely failed us as a citizenry. There's no leadership. The people we should be looking to take charge during these and try and unite have completely failed us. And as a population, I'm happy to see, and I'm proud to see, people go out there and demand change.
Absolutely.
Oh, how you doing, Amalur?
I'm okay. I think for me, I am very, personally aware of the situations that come across my day-to-day, and the interactions I have with my friends and family. And I wonder, like, if this is the moment where, and I know it's a moment where most people, or at least some people, unfortunately, every time something like this happens, there is this, what I believe to be this sort of like shoulder, shrugging. And I think for me, in the interactions that I've had with my friends and family, this moment feels tangibly different in a way that I am happy to see, with the people that, friends, family, hockey teams, the all these different sort of groups of people that I interact with. I've noticed a tangible sort of inability to just ignore what's happening in a way that for whatever reason has been allowed previously, where you can just get away with turning a blind eye and just saying, oh, fuck it, it doesn't affect me, or something like that. And I think for me, in the experiences that I've had, I find that to be reassuring in some way. that there is some sort of tangible thing. And look, I don't really open up about this a lot. I have family members who I simply do not talk to anymore over situations like this. And I really, I don't think everyone's mind or point of view can be changed overnight, but at some point the weight is too much to bear. And I just hope that this is one of those moments.
Yeah,
for sure.
I will. There are pinpricks of light that have kind of poked through this kind of whole dark place we're in. It is not nearly enough, and it is not nearly, given the past and the history of everything involved in this, is not even close to even a step forward. But it is heartening to see that this is generational change. This is big policy change. This is institutional change, and that stuff. It's not flip a switch, right? And I don't know how to get there. And this is why you hope you listen to the great leaders and have people who are inspirational, and they kind of lead you on this path. But it's the flood of voices and peoples and bodies, and it feels like it moved a millimeter, and that was enough even for me to say, wow, like this is why. This is why you get out there. This is again not enough, and boy, keeping the volume up very important, because we've all seen the backsliding on things that platitudes that come out, right? That are hey, no, we got this. We'll push. We'll take the screws to the right people, and we'll make sure. It's not easy, and and rooting out corruption in power is never easy, and it's hard. It's a battle,
and that battle is not going to be quickly won. It is not going to be over in short order. It's like the impetus for this, the push for this was very much about individual cases and finding justice for individuals that were killed by police. But, the system itself has to change. Yeah. The system itself has to be dismantled from what it is now. And that is not something that's going to be fixed with, 4 arrests. That's not going to be something that's going to be fixed with, that's a start. But there's so much more that has to be done to completely rework the institution of policing in this country. And it's not going to come overnight. It's not going to come with a single case, but we're pushing for the beginnings of something. That's what this is now. And it's going to take a long time, and it's going to be a brutal fight, clearly, but it has to change. It has to.
I think this country can be better than this. I know this country can. I know that sounds like the most cliche thing in the world, but like this, I have to believe it. We are the population of this country. These institutions should be a representation of us, and I think they have to be. And I think it's long, severely overdue to have that kind of a routing and just take it from me. Just because something is old doesn't mean it's good. You can just because something's been around a while doesn't mean it's the way it has to be, right? No, I'm serious though. But like,
no, of course,
you know what I'm saying?
The way I look at it is, and if someone can articulate this better than me, please do. I hope my point is taken the way I mean it to. No one is born racist, right? There is something that happens, and that's what needs to change. And I think, growing up, you're lying if you don't see where those moments happen. So and I think about my kid, and I think about like, those sort of like pureness of like his mentality and look at the world, and it's just a lot.
It's a lot. We've been talking to our kids. It's hard. It's hard. If your parents out there, it's super hard. I mean, this is not the first time this has happened. Even have young kids, this has happened multiple times, and we've had this conversation multiple times. And I remember having a conversation with my son about about slavery, right? And you know, this was a while ago, and he was like, but the slaves were freed, and like that's not the end of it, you know. That's
the problem.
That's like kind of the beginning of the story in a lot of ways, right? And that I think that's important to, you know, not only come from parents, but also come from integration within communities, come from the people who are affected the most, coming from learning tolerance by being in diversified places, because when you're not around other people who have other opinions or other skin tones, or, you know, it becomes an other, right? And it becomes something wondrous, and not just a person, and not just another fellow American. I feel like that's really, again, I feel like some of the language is so charged, but like, we're like, we're all here. We're all here. This isn't, we're all just, it's human, right? It's human, but you are in this country. You are given these rights. They cannot just be taken away like that. You don't lose those. That is, and then people have to be held accountable. It is accountability. And if you cannot have the privilege of enforcing that, then you've lost, and you have lost the public trust, and those organizations have lost the public trust. And I'm sorry that is, it is a privilege to serve these communities, and that has absolutely been eroded. And again, I'd say thank you to everybody who's been able to get out there. I know it's been very hard for people to do that, and kind of make sure that is heard out there. And and here we are trying to do a video game podcast. I think Austin may have put it, unless there's anything else to be said. We'll surely this isn't the last you'll hear. There are so many, I said this on the Bombcast, there are a lot of different fronts on this, right? And I think it's important to remember there are a lot of people doing a lot of really amazing work in different places. I looked up a thing a while ago about Twitter. Do you know like only 20% of America is on Twitter, and like 70% is international? Which I thought that statistic was wildly skewed, and I had no idea. But there is yeah, I guess so. But there is people doing activism in communities. They're doing all over the internet in places. They are on foot. They are on the phone. There are all sorts of places. And thanks to everybody who's able to do that. Yeah. And again, like Austin said on the Bombcast, should we attempt the impossible pivot? and try.
We have a choice at this point. We either do the impossible pivot, or we're on this forever. So I think if we make our stand now, and we make the pivot.
You have a dissolve thing or something?
There's no dissolve that makes it. No, there's nothing that makes this one work.
I'll take a star wipe.
All right,
you got a star wipe?
I think you just kind of yank the wheel, and just everybody hold on to the little like thing by your door, and we'll start going down another road. I want to also thank you guys, Alex, Abby, and Jeff, for being here, and you know, this has helped me doing this job with all of you get through some of this.
Likewise, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, Vinny.
Okay, I did play a game. I'm gonna take a deep breath.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna talk.
Good for you.
I'm gonna talk.
You're
about
the only one.
How could you?
Because everybody was talking about it on the Bombcast, and I was like, well, everybody's talking about this game. I should play it. I should try it. And then this morning, Ben was actually streaming it, Monster Train.
Okay.
So now I get to kind of co-opt everybody's really fantastic thoughts from the Bombcast, and I'll pretend that they're mine. Monster Train is a game. It's a deck building game. Drafting game. Everybody know the difference between like a deck building and drafting, or does that distinction even matter? It basically, as you
know.
Okay, so you start with a hand of cards, right? And then throughout the game, you're getting more cards. You're not just building your deck from the start, right? It's not
sure.
Yeah, it's not like like a Hearthstone where you're like, I've got my deck, let's fight. You're actually getting more cards and getting rid of cards as you go. And so it's a game where very much Slay the Spire-esque. You start with this kind of small hand of cards, and the premise is, I think, you're on this hell train, then there's a little bit of hell left in in the top of the train. Imagine a train car with like 4 stories, and I'm just imagine a train car with
that's not how trains work. The stories are horizontal.
You can have upper decker trains. That's possible.
I mean, more of them though. I don't think so.
Let's imagine on a monitor they had to put the cars above each other. So like a little bit of hell left up there, and heaven's like, well, we're just going to destroy this last bit of hell, and you're the demons that are like, oh no, we got to get this train to I forget what it is, a hell town or whatever it is. And so So as you're doing that, you're going through waves of enemies, kind of playing your cards. And I played a decent amount of it, and I really enjoyed it. It feels like it is forgiving in some instances where you feel like you got the right cards on this run, and you've been able to power up, and like you've got this build that is just tearing through everything until you hit a wall and you get completely destroyed. But it's paced in a way, and it's different enough in a way where I wound up doing like 4 or 5 runs straight. And really enjoyed it. It's Monster Train. It's on Steam. I forget how much it is. It might be $30, but it's worth a look if you want to check it out. If you're into those types of games, man, it's a card game. It's you're basically fighting against the AI in these battles. It's very Slay the Spire, but I really enjoyed it. And that was it.
Okay.
that was it.
What are you playing it on?
Playing it on Steam. I'm not sure if it's on too much else. I will say the other thing I wanted to mention that we played, Abby, you and I were on this. We played Tabletop Simulator for the first time in a in a real way, not just flipping the table or putting like a chessboard on and making it fly away. And that was on GameSpot's Play for All stream, which you should go watch. It was Tamora and Michael were there. Ben Pack was also there, raising money for not only Black Lives Matter but for COVID relief. And we played Deception. It was a lot of fun, and I think it made me finally spend time kind of learning the real fiddly nuances and wonkiness of Tabletop Simulator, which had been pitched to me a bunch, from people like Casey and other people that are like, yeah, it works. You can do this. You can do these things in here. The gray area of the legality of some of that stuff as you get games through the Steam Workshop, and you're like, well, these are clearly just scanned in properties and stuff like that. I don't know about, but it does work, and I think it has to be fiddly in a way to kind of add some of the charm to it of being at a table, actually, is what you lose a lot of the tactileness of playing a board game when you're online, but for some reason Tabletop Simulator, with all its weird making this stuff big and throwing it around, kind of brings that back in a fun way. It kind of brings back somebody spilling a glass of water on the table in a way that you might not realize helps with all of that stuff. So go check that out if you want. It is archived on the site. Aside from that, it's been mostly playing some games with the kids in Luigi's Mansion. What are they up to now? Luigi's Mansion on their 3rd or 4th run through that game. Sure. Max is like 100 runs through Pokemon at this point. It's been a lot of just trying to deal. I mean, the shorthand for it.
Yes.
Alex, anything anything coming your way video game wise?
I've tried. Like I downloaded Last of Us 2 last night because they're sending out code for that. I have not touched it yet because this morning, I'm going to be honest, that was not really the thing I wanted to launch into right before this podcast.
Yeah.
So I'll probably have more to say about that next week. I was playing the new Civ content. I played through an entire Apocalypse mode run, which was pretty fun. At the end of that mode, they basically just start launching asteroids at you, which is a fitting way to close that out. I have done some Animal Crossing errands here and there, but it's, there's a new wedding event going on, which is fine. You go to Harv's Island and you take photos of alpacas that are married. So that's pleasant.
So how does it work? So I haven't done it yet. I logged in and was like about to do it, and then I don't have time for games right now. I got a lot of shit going on, as many folks do, I'm sure. But I logged in and I basically went to Harv's Island and saw them all chatting, and then I was like, I'll get back to this later, and it's been 3 days. So how quickly do you get all the furniture? Do you have to keep going back? How does it work?
I think you have to keep going back. I don't know what the pace of it is. I've only done it once, but I got basically wedding pews as and also 9 heart crystals, which I don't know what those do exactly. I imagine they're materials that probably go into manufacturing certain furniture, but I don't know.
I bet it's a wand. I bet it's a wand.
Probably. You're probably right.
It's always a wand.
I don't need that many wands. Okay, I got my fish wand. I'm good to go on wands. I would love it if the heart crystals, if you can give it to villagers and then make them fall in love with each other or you.
Yeah, I will say the one thing I enjoyed about it, the alpacas are very nice. They're very cute. They're married. They're in love. You can't argue with that. I will say after I did my first photo session, I walked out and Harv was just standing on his porch banging a tambourine to no music, just there, just hitting a tambourine over and over again. And you know what? That I don't know, just something about that made me fall out of my chair laughing. I don't really know why. I think it's just the tone of everything right now. I just something that just like stupid just hit me in the right way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like
if you should record that and do like a 48-hour loop of that, just with the tambourine clang, and I'd probably watch that.
Yeah, like there's nothing better.
Speaking of,
I don't know.
One of the few nice things online. I maybe we talked about this during our Uno stream, Alex. I don't remember, but there have been a lot of those great Twitter posts from Harv's Island, and I've seen some with the alpacas specifically, where they set them up and they give them emotes, and they like kind of strategically use items to block parts of their bodies to make it look like they're like going at it.
Oh, wow.
And it brings me so much joy. I love them so much. They are so funny. And they're the only good thing happening right now. I don't know. They're just so stupid and funny.
Yeah. I mean, look, we always joke that Harv's studio was definitely a porn studio to some degree. So might as well just go all the way with it.
There's like one emote, the clapping emote that a lot of people have been using.
Oh, yeah. I wonder why.
Like,
I wonder what that represents.
On top of like everything else is just so funny.
Well,
we did I don't know, Alex, I don't think you were there for that. We did that for the when we had that iPhone app, that commercial we did for like too hot for the whatever, and putting sensor bars over just mundane stuff is maybe one of the funniest things you could do in a video.
Yes, it's high comedy.
To this day, I still think people are like, "What's behind that sensor bar they put in that video?" And it's like literally nothing. It's people just holding their phone up.
Remember that one time I spoiled the very stupid part of Game of Thrones, and then instead of setting like 1 beep to get rid of it, Vinny, you added like 5, and then it seemed like I said something wild.
So bad. Like,
people were still for like weeks being like, "What did you say?"
I can't believe it. What did you say? It's listen.
Who did? Someone in late night does that. It's like the unnecessary censoring.
I feel like Conan O'Brien was doing
Conan
that
or
point,
Jimmy Kimmel, something like that. Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I haven't watched much late night television in the last 10 years.
All right, sorry, Alex. Anything else?
No. I went to a protest on Tuesday, a peaceful protest in my neighborhood. We spent a few hours walking up and down Steinway. We went to the local precinct. It was peaceful. The cops were non-aggressive. It was not, it did not go in a bad way for anyone involved. I will probably be doing that again this weekend, as time allows. And I would again reiterate that if you have the ability to get out there and have your voice heard and, put yourself out there, you absolutely should. Now is never more the time than right now. I yield the rest of my time. Fuck de Blasio, fuck Cuomo.
Abby Russell, how are you?
That's me. How
are video
I have not
games?
played many games. Again, I popped into Animal Crossing because it's June now. We have new new like fish to catch, new bugs to catch. So I popped in basically for that, but I only really did it like once this week. Eventually, I think when I have a little more time, it's just been a busy week for me on top of like everything else as well. So once I have a little more time, I'd like to play more. But for our stream yesterday morning, we did play Uno, which was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with that. Alex, you, me, and Jan may or may not have cheated our way to the top for a few games. We lost quite a number of times, but then once we started cheating against one other person, it was really a lot of fun.
It turns out cheating at Uno is a really good way to win at Uno.
You're all gonna get banned. You're gonna get somebody's gonna report.
Honestly,
that.
We deserve it. 100% we deserve it.
Dude, if I got banned in Uno, I think that would be the greatest accomplishment of all time. I would love to get banned in Uno.
Oh man, it would be great if one of the Uno card, like you go to sign in and it just has your screen name and it's like a banned player, like they put stuff on a wall, like do not allow this person in the store. It's like
exactly. Just my face, like it's just a clip of me being like, Alex, tell me what color cards you have.
Yeah, it wasn't subtle.
No, not at all. But that was a lot of fun. It was like $3 in the PlayStation store. It has like a Rabbids deck, which I enjoyed, and the little rabbits will like do fun stuff. I don't know. I also really did enjoy Tabletop Simulator. I'm hoping to play more of that for the charity stream. We're having another charity stream this Friday with a bunch of like Black streamers and Black creators in the gaming community. So I hope y'all can come and check that out. It'll be 9 p.m. Eastern this Friday. I think we're probably going to play Codenames Pictures.
Okay.
I'm going to do a little test of the game later after this to see if it's all working. Because like you said, it is all like, these are workshop items. We'll see if it's functioning. So I'm going to do that.
I had downloaded like 4 games, like, oh, hey, in case this runs short or this. I had to spend not an unreasonable, more time expected in each game that I downloaded, finding the small nuance. Like, it wasn't like, okay, we know how to do this in one game. It is like, no, you need to go in for every game and be like, how do they want you to, how does this work? How does a person who scripted this thing want you to work? Yeah, don't expect to go in there and be like, I think we got it. Oh, you hold shift and the thing works. It is like, how does this work for this particular game with no instruction manual? Just kind of like, okay, here we go. Not even the game instructions, just like, I'll click on this pile, see what happens. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, so I'm gonna hop in there after this, probably, hopefully figure it out. I feel like at the very worst case, Jackbox is always fun, right?
Yeah.
But right now, I really want to
think it's always fun.
I think like Codenames or some kind of other party game, I think would be a good time. So I hope to see you all there. In the meantime, I haven't been playing much. I'm excited for Last of Us 2. I think that'll be a good escape for me, despite what Last of Us 2 is about.
How?
Because I think right now, having a game that I can jump into and like have a narrative I can focus on and have a little bit of tunnel vision on would maybe be good for me right now, because I don't.
Well, let me tell you something.
Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't played it, but I have been excited for this game for a long time. Oh, another thing I'm excited for that I think will be a good escape is The Sims tomorrow has their Eco Life expansion coming out. I'm very excited. They also have an update where now you can put doors on like any tile. Before it was just like only like one tile or the other, so you couldn't get like a door in the middle of 2, which was fucking infuriating. And now you can put them wherever. Same with windows. I'm so excited for the Sims update. I have only been playing Sims to play the 100 Baby Challenge, which has been fun, but I think I could use a time to go back to the Sims and shut my brain off and just fix up a smog town, or maybe make it worse. I like the idea of living in a smog town. We'll see. But I'm very excited. I feel like the chatter I've seen online from the people who have had early access to it, it seems like they are enjoying it, and it seems like I like the aesthetics of it. I don't know about the gameplay. We'll see once I start playing it. But I'm excited for more Sims, and I'm excited that it's coming out tomorrow.
I've got a news item here that is just ladders and Sims, and maybe we'll.
We'll talk.
We gotta save that for the news.
Yeah, it's the biggest news. It's the headliner, so we gotta save that one. Abby, anything else you want to talk about before we get to Mr. Bacalar?
I don't think so. I've mostly, I feel like my leisure activity nowadays has been reading. That has been nice for me. Sitting in the sun in isolation and reading a book for an hour or 2. I think has been a good thing for my brain.
The weather has been unbelievable in terms of kind of like cool breeze. I think it's supposed to be hot today, but it's been super nice. Jeff Bacalar.
Hello there.
And Jeff Bacalar, how are you? And what can't you talk about today?
Yeah, I guess I kind of fucked up because the part that they are letting people talk about in The Last of Us is like the next part I'm about to play.
It's not the beginning?
So I fucked up.
No, I think a bunch of plot stuff happens at the beginning of that game, and they're trying to avoid people like knowing that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know that there's a smooch in the beginning based on the trailers. I assume it's in the beginning.
No, don't break your embargo,
there's no way
Jeff.
for me to know.
I know. I haven't played the game. I haven't seen the game.
Yeah.
This is me speculating.
Why are you making me walk through a minefield right now?
I know.
At E3.
Let's just keep on saying stuff that.
Let's
just say stuff that might be in the game and watch Jeff's face twitch as it goes.
Just trembling.
I heard you play as a lemur for this one part of the game. I heard somebody dies.
I heard that Joel has a big phoenix back tattoo.
So Yeah, I can't say. It's just
Jeff,
it's
all
my bad, and I want to apologize because I should have looked ahead. I've been playing a lot of this game, and I don't even genuinely think I could have made it as far as this preview is into the game. But nevertheless, that's what's up.
Sorry,
Next week
sorry.
is gonna be bad too because the review embargo is Friday at 3 a.m. Eastern.
What do we do?
I don't know. Maybe
Do we not do the
I don't know.
podcast live?
I don't know. I feel ridiculous not being able to talk about this game.
If we were doing
do it live?
if we were doing the
if we
regular
did it-
podcast, sorry, say again, Alex.
What if we did it live Friday morning?
We could do that.
Yeah, that would work for me.
Yeah,
I mean,
But I
Include
yeah.
Thursday.
All right, we'll talk about it and try.
yeah,
and figure
this is
it out.
maybe like an offline conversation.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm just
no,
saying, if we're bandying stuff around now, I just figured it was an idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do it live on Thursday, and then I'll just stream Black for the live part, and then we'll put while you talk about I'll put the test pattern up while you talk about Last of Us real time, and then we'll come back in, and then the archive on Friday morning I'll actually put the real thing in. That seems like the most reasonable solution to me.
I think what you should do is you put up a black bar over Jeff Bacalar's mouth for the entire time he's talking, and then just have like little Spanish Flea playing in the background while he's speaking, so that way no one is spoiled.
never
There's
know.
no embargo busting
Do we
on
do
this
that for
podcast.
every podcast?
Yes,
Zing,
every single
hello. Jeff,
Uh,
I'm trying to just get back to normalcy of us dunking on you relentlessly.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
We dunk because we love, buddy.
Jeff, do you do have stuff that will be going up for CNET, right? On at the
yeah.
embargo?
I'll have a video at the embargo. It's just I'll say this, it is certainly an interesting time to be playing this game, and okay, that's about it.
Well, okay,
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Anything else you want to talk about game wise before we kind of head into
No,
what is oddly a weird news week, which is I'm kind of
It's a weird one.
it's a relief
It's a
kind
weird
of
one.
because it's so dumb. There's like some
Yeah.
really
almost
All
dumb
the
to
news is
believe.
dumb. Well, actually, not all of it, but
not
most
all of it, but some of it it's pretty dumb. So
No, I've just been doing Last of Us, not even really Warzone at all. My kid, he's so in love with moving out, and I play that with him maybe a few hours a week, but it's just it's fun to watch him play and just how much he genuinely like loves and understands that game. And I don't know if that game is doing well. I don't know if people are into it, but this is all like he's now doing the thing where he's like doing stuff in real life, being like, "Oh, Dad, it's just like moving out."
I throw this out the
Oh,
window.
Yeah, like let's get all these boxes in the garage. It's just like moving out.
Cool.
like-
Can you come to my house and play moving out with my dirty trash?
Yeah, that's the next step
Yeah.
on his agenda.
Have
Play
him play
dirty
House
box
Flipper.
game with Abby.
Have him
Duh.
play House Flipper and then come to my place with some paint.
I did tell my kid something in that I was like, "Oh, Dylan, this is now you know how to move out, so move out."
Jeez.
Ow.
Did he laugh or did he
No,
cry?
he laughed. He did that whole like, "You're fucking kidding, right?" There? Like,
You're being silly, Dad.
like,
I like
gonna-
that was partially like this.
I'm gonna write this one down for therapy later. Thank you, Dad.
I was like, "No, you can stay here at least another year."
This I don't know why this occurred to me. I think it was the cleaning up from the house flipper stuff. That's the game we have to clean up all the bugs and roaches and stuff, right? The disgusting stuff, right? In house flipper. That's right. Anyway,
yes.
I think Abby was into that, right?
Oh yeah.
Backlar, question for you, homeowner Backlar.
Yeah, what's up?
Do you have?
I'm sorry. What?
Homeowner.
You're a homeowner. You own a
Homeowner.
home.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that.
Homeowner Backlar, do you have
Yeah.
have you had any problems with a thing called Carpenter Bees? Bees that will literally eat circles, holes into wood.
Oh, I thought that meant like bees that will build another deck for you.
I wish. No, it's the opposite. Unless they're just storing that wood and then building a deck on their house.
Here's what I got. I got clover mites. I got stink bugs.
Oh.
You know stink bugs?
Uh-huh. I catch them all. Catch them all. Man-faced stink bug. I'm the king of the man-faced stink bug in Animal Crossing, of course.
I got house centipedes.
Uh-huh. Yep.
I got these weird flying things I've never seen before that have these like very intricately cut out, jagged wings.
A dragon.
Have you ever seen? They are fascinating. It's a dragon. It's a small
real
dragon.
It's a baby dragon.
Tiny dragon.
The tiny dragons. Leak in the basement.
Okay.
Unrelated to an animal, but it's fine. It was just a minor thing. That's about it. Yeah, so I can't relate to Carpenter Bees. I didn't know Carpenter Bees were a thing until you
just said it.
Invented them.
Well,
until you put them out in the world.
We got like a banister that leads out to our down our steps, and a banister also and some steps that lead out to our backyard. And there we've had it they've been there. We kind of let them do their thing because they're apparently very good pollinators, and so they go around and our trees and stuff. But holy cow, they're just turning everything into Swiss cheese, and it is a little word.
They sound hilarious.
They're very fun. They're very funny. They've yes.
No, I was just gonna say
I can read the room. It's video.
I'm not a big bug guy. I'd rather pivot away from bugs if we can.
What are you, blathers?
I named like 40 of them.
Yeah, they're just
you brought up one, and you were like, "This is an opportunity to talk about every single bug I've ever seen in my life." And starting with the most horrifying ones, and ending with ones that are somehow still more horrifying.
It's weird. Like my wife Stacy is irrationally like upset about the clover mite. The clover mites are like pinpoint red little ants. They're like tiny. They're tinier than you can imagine. You just like wipe one and it's just like a little red streak.
You are talking about bugs.
Oh
wait, what?
Oh my god, we have the cutest family of chipmunks in our backyard.
Okay.
They're the cutest. They're so adorable, and they just hang out on the patio, and like I just want to party with them, and they don't seem interested in that, but it's very, very cute. I love that stuff. And my kid is obsessed. We have a baby fawn, like a deer. Is that a fawn? Is that what that's called?
A fawn, baby deer.
Baby deer is a fawn.
Mm-hmm.
You know what deer do? I didn't know this. They like
shit
leave their
yard.
kid.
What?
Well, yeah, but the mom deer leaves the baby deer in like an open yard. The baby deer is like not strong enough to like go out and hunt or whatever the hell it is they do. So it's just like
sits,
they forage for stuff, man.
They like eat plants and berries and shit. And this deer will just sit in the backyard for like 30 hours at a time.
That's adorable.
And the mama deer must come by and just be like, "Oh, I picked this up for you." It's so cute. And they just pick their heads up out of the grass a little bit, look around. It's a peaceful moment in this time of chaos. Yeah.
Should we
saw some turtles at the park a few weeks ago.
That's nice.
I love turtles. I love turtles.
I also saw a little kid dressed like a zombie.
Yeah.
He kept trying to propose to the turtles.
Okay. Love turtles. Oh my gosh! Apparently there was a bear sighting in my neighborhood. Yeah. What is happening? There's
bear in New Jersey is not a new thing. Bear in New Jersey. Bears here.
Sure. Yeah, you got it, man.
What kind of bear?
Black bear. Little black bear.
Yeah, black bears.
Yeah.
New Jersey is the home of the Pine Barrens.
Okay.
And that's gonna do it for us.
Hey, I found a funny thing when I was going through. I have a lot of notebooks around here. I don't know if this is that funny, but I found my old notes from decades ago with my notes from when I did that Chappelle Show edit, and I found my notes.
God.
From that, which you cannot see because it's
cool.
completely blown out. Oh, how do you do this?
I can kind of see it.
Yeah.
Blouses versus skins one, right?
I did the Prince one, but there are notes from the Rick James one. This says Rick James with a bunch of other stuff on them. I can show these, right? That's not like
I think you
whatever.
Should,
this show's
I don't know,
dude. You literally work for Viacom now. It was a Comedy Central show. You can do whatever you want.
The notes say in the
Book of Vinny.
The notes say like fucking party in Rick James. These are clothes. What are you looking at? Line forms here. These are like all edit points, of like, hey, go find this clip. Going once, going twice. And then let's see, the one, the Prince one says, flip around the laughs, shorten, it says shorten every goddamn thing. Fade out after shrimps. Oh gosh, I can't even read this one.
I would love like a director's commentary of the sketch of just you reading that out in this way over top of the sketch. Of the
sketch. Yeah, it's funny. These might be from when I came back to work on. There was like a best of at the when they put the DVDs together.
So clarify the situation, because you've told me this story about I don't know 18 or 19 times now. I want to know, what was your specific role in that?
So for
to explain to people.
Yeah. So for the Prince one, I'll give if people have heard the story before, I'm sorry. It's somebody else was working on it. They called me up and because they couldn't make it, and I had a full-time job at the time. Like, hey, can you contract in and do this? And it was for basically editor for not the final edit, the assembly edit, and get everything ready for.
So like an assistant editor, or
no, just putting it all together, like stringing it out and then tightening it up, and then but there's a final pass on it that does audio. And at the time they were going to do something with the green screen. That's what they told me. They said, we shot him in front of a green screen. We're going to put something behind that. And they never did in the
which is very funny, because all of those that whole episode, everyone is inexplicably in front of a green screen.
So they shot in front of a green screen, and they said don't worry about it. And when they bring it to the final, they'll put something behind it. And it was a lot of fun because it was them basically slotting in unlicensed music, because you put in scratch music for a lot of the temp stuff. And then it's amazing. At the time, it was amazing to me because they would be like calling the person who then has to go get secure rights to that. Hey, can we get Little Red Corvette? No, just call him. Call Eddie. He'll get it, he'll call Prince, like it'll work. And it's just like, man, I am in a different world here. And I was nervous as heck. And it was extremely stressful.
Dave Chappelle?
I did. And I was extremely nervous. I've told this story a million times.
I feel like I've hardly heard it. I only found out because
I've actually only heard it on the
Wikipedia page.
I met him. He came in a couple of times and in sweatpants and very high. And I stood up or I turned around and I said, I was like, oh, nice to meet you, Mr. Chappelle. And he grabbed my hand and he did his Dave Chappelle face and was like, nice to meet you too, bitch. I was like, so it says short and everything.
I mean, okay. That tracks.
That's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
I mean, that's how I would want him to greet me, so that's fine. I'll take it.
Pause.
Laugh or die inside.
So I was working with mostly Neil was the producer on it, and I was working with him most of the time. And then when I came back to work on they brought me back to work on the end of that story with the Princes was so stressful, and I had a full-time job, and I was because they run those things to the last minute, because they would do the at the time the stand-up part of it where he'd intro it, so they had to have the rough cut ready to play in front of the audience so they can get the laugh track and everything before the final cuts due. So they needed it like 11th hour, like racing to get it done. I got paid very well for it, by the way. It was like very,
and that was like 2000, right? 2001?
Yeah, I forget what it was. It was like $500 a day for at the time, which for me was like great.
Which is $8 million
in today's money. And then so I remember being super stressful, and it was a Friday, and we're like, hey, can you come back tomorrow? We've got this other one, this Rick James one. And I was like, I can't. I've got commitments. I can't do it. And I was like, okay. And they were like, okay. And it was mostly because like I'm so frazzled from all of this. This is such a high tension. There was like one other real editor working on it, and that's why I was called in to help out, because there's one full-time editor on the show who was working on the other stuff. And then I did finally come back and do the compilation stuff for the some of the best of stuff, which was fun.
What were you using to edit back then?
So it was funny. They were using Final Cut, but at my job we were using a different version of Final Cut. I forget, it was like 7 or something, and so I remember having to figure out a way to get the new version. So I would walk in and know all the shortcuts and what they were using. But I was worried. I hadn't been using Avid at the time, so I was a little worried they'd be on an Avid system, but luckily they weren't. And what I think they want at the time, I don't know if this is different now, but is someone who can do stuff quickly. It's a producer sitting on a couch being like, cut this out, make this 2 seconds shorter. And what's taking so long? Like, they just want somebody who can make stuff, string together all these things. And the hardest part was there's just bins of clips that have been strung out that are just called like slams basketball wide, slams basketball tight, slams basketball behind, and Neil was there and he would know all the shots, but I did not, and I was I was very young and very nervous. But anyway, it was fun to see these notes. I think these might be from the best of, and because there's other things in here. Made my $500 a day. And then when I came back and they were doing the Blu-ray or DVD thing, they were all talking about how that thing had sold and they were all buying houses. Like the whole cast had been there. And I was like, holy cow. And they're like, yeah, man. And they were like on the phone talking about like, yeah, millions and this and that and the other thing. And I'm kind of just sitting there eating the salad they had bought for me, being like, how do I get in on this? How do I gotta get on a video game website.
Yeah, that's where the money is.
Make a podcast. So yeah, they were. That's it. That's my story, and thanks for letting me share. And we'll play the music. Yeah, I gotta tell it every 5 years. It keeps the myth alive.
It's a good story, man. It's a good story.
Yes. It was an interesting part of my life. Let's get out of here, and we'll take a quick break. And we'll be back soon. Hang tight. All right, we are back. Welcome back, folks. Give us a second to make sure that everybody else isn't muted. Hi, everybody. Ready to get into some of the news for today?
I think so.
Okay, I'll start with what is jumped out at me first. I know I said maybe the latter stuff, but and by latter I mean ladder, not latter. Ladder Zinsim. You remember Cate Blanchet?
How could I
remember
forget?
her?
Vinny?
I never
not think about her.
Do you mean Academy Award-winning actress Cate Blanchett?
I do, or do I mean Academy Award winning actress Cate Blanchett? What is it? Is it Blanchett or Blanchett?
I think it's Cate Blanchett.
Okay.
But also I don't know or care.
Well,
have you ever seen those pictures of her in a suit? Because if you have, then you would have never forgotten about her, Vinny.
Okay, well, I'll make sure the camera is moved so you don't see when these Transformers fall down, the wall of Cate Blanchett in a suit pictures I have. Well, anyway, why do I bring this up? I see you asking, Jeff Beck. Why are we talking about this? It's because apparently it has been announced that she is going to be in Eli Roth's Borderlands movie.
I can make up sentences too. I mean, I feel like.
Do you want to? Because we could try it out. Who else is in this Borderlands movie, Jeff Bakalar?
I have no idea.
Oh, you can just make him up. I don't know.
Rick Moranis.
Okay. Okay, nice. So Eli Roth is making a Borderlands adaptation. Apparently has cast Kate in the role of Lilith. Who is the
okay?
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting. That wouldn't have. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
She's a very prestigious actress. She's been in a lot of great stuff, some great performances, but she is also totally not above just doing some wild camp shit when she feels like it. Like, let's be real, her in that Thor movie was pretty fucking good.
She was great in Thor. I don't think Thor is that campy though. Like, she was a big villain character, but I don't think that's campy and stupid in the same way that a Borderlands movie is going to be.
I'm not saying stupid, but I think that she was definitely going for some like very wild energy in that movie, and I think she nailed it. So she's obviously not above doing genre picks and doing some wild shit. That said, can we stop this now? Can we somehow stop this from
No.
happening?
Kate, get out of the house. Kate, get out. As soon as Randy kind of, hey everybody, everybody needs to like ping Kate's phone and be like, go, it's late. Go get some food or something.
He's gonna show up on set. He's gonna show her a magic trick. That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Oh, and I want to witness it. Oh, if I have to buy a Borderlands DVD or Blu-ray to see the behind the scenes of Randy Pitchford showing Cate Blanchet some close-up card magic, I will pay as much as I need.
Hey, you want to watch your career disappear? Here we go. Thank you very much. So yeah, there's a statement here from Eli Roth. I'm so lucky to have the amazing Cate Blanchett starring in Borderlands.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, seriously.
Actually. We had the most incredible collaboration together on The House with a clock in its walls, and I believe there's nothing she can't do. From drama to comedy and now action, Cate makes every scene sing. Working with her is truly a director's dream come true, and I feel so fortunate that I get to do it again on an even bigger scale. Everyone brings their A game to work with Cate, and I know together we're going to create another iconic Cate, where are you going? Cate, come back. Cate, hey Cate, why are you leaving?
Kate, help.
Kate, kind of character.
Say something?
Cate, what? Yeah, Cate Blanchett's response was she made a $sign with her hands. It was funny.
Vinny, look at this guy.
Wow, it's amazing what you can do when you
podcast.
Just
wrote like a whole set before you read this piece.
It's
of
great.
news.
It's amazing what zero.
He's reading off a prompter, everyone.
So anyway, that's that news. Should we move into some other stuff?
Sure.
Okay, a little more serious. Sony had their event planned for. Was it this week?
It was supposed to be today.
Was it this? Was it 7 years ago? I think it was supposed to be this week, which was moved, rightfully so, or postponed. We don't have a date for it, for when it will reconvene, but hopefully they will make the right choices when there's the appropriate time. But that doesn't mean we don't have any Sony news. We've got Jim Ryan, who is the Sony, what is it now? Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO, said, right. I'm going to summarize this a bit. We talked about this on the Bombcast, but I know everybody doesn't listen to both podcasts. So summarizing, he basically got out there and said, hey, the PS5 is a place for PS5 games. We believe in generations of systems. And if you remember, Microsoft is saying, hey, there's going to be a period or a window here where we're going to have games that are going to run on both systems. You'll be okay. If you stay with the Xbox One, you will be able to move those games up to the Xbox One X. And if you're on the Xbox One X, that same game might or will be coming to the Series X. Boy, this name is going to get me for the whole generation. Series X will be going to the Xbox One. Does that make sense? Everybody, right? It's going to be, they're going to be the same games kind of for a window there. And what I get Jim Ryan is saying is basically, hey, we're going to make PS5 games. And you buy a PS5 to play those games and don't expect those games to be on a PS4. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not the backwards compatibility stuff. PS4 games will come up to the PS5. And there was also a little bit of news about a cutoff date for developers have to, any game submitted after July 13th has to be playable on both the PS4 and the PS5. I'm sorry, PS4 games have to be playable on the PS5. So they have already announced like they had 100 games that were going to be backwards compatible, but now games submitted after July 13th will have to be, PS4 games will have to be playable on the PS5. So two different kind of tacks to take on this one, right? Like you have Microsoft basically trying to say, don't worry, if you're not getting a Series X, you'll be able to play the same games other people will be playing, maybe just not as bells and whistles, or it'll be slightly different, but it'll be available here. And Sony getting out and saying, we're making a next generation console for next generation games from the ground up. We're not gonna have these games or a different version of these games be playable on PS4.
It's an interesting tack. I mean, I think it's in keeping with sort of the tone and messaging, and also the pace of backward compatible stuff that is, Sony's kind of been putting out there over the last generation. Like, they clearly don't prioritize this the same way that Microsoft seems to be. And, you know, I think a big part of why Microsoft is prioritizing this stuff is because they know it's a community win. It's a thing you can say to your audience and say, like, no, we're not forgetting about all these things you already bought from us. Like, you don't have to rebuy them for this platform. We will find a way to make them, as many of them, work as we can. Whereas Sony, I don't think they're invested in that. Like, I don't think that's an important thing for them. It's the language here is not quite, we have a system for you. It's called the Xbox 360, but it's like roughly adjacent in that direction. Yeah. I mean, and it feels very much like Jim Ryan is not a guy who is known for making particularly beloved statements on behalf of the company Sony. And this feels like another one where it's just kind of like, I get it. I see what you're trying to say here and what you're trying to do, but I don't think it's going to play well with the audience that is trying to weigh and decide which platform, if they have to pick one, which one they're going to buy in for next generation.
I am surprised as to almost how direct that sentiment is.
We believe in generations.
Yeah, but like, you know, to me, it marks a very clear divide in the models of both of these companies right now. Like, it is very much a Microsoft thing of like, hey, you know, without them saying, it's like, we got Windows, we got Xbox. Yeah. Like, fine, do whatever you need to do. You're
on one of our platforms, so here you go.
I you know, you're not on our phone platform, but you're definitely on our.
And we remember that. We'll always remember that.
And we still resent you for that. But yeah, like, I think it's kind of interesting. I think it's, you know, I think it's very kind of transparent in a time where like those two companies in the recent, you know, rollout of news that they've decided to pursue. I think this is a more of a striking transparency when compared to those other bits of information we've gotten lately. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's definitely a line in the sand, I think, a little bit. Yeah.
And for me personally, and I echoed this again last time I talked about it on the Bobcast, it is will Microsoft be able to show that their games look just as good as from the ground up PlayStation 5 game? You know, are they going to be like, are people going to say, well, you've had to compromise because this also had to run on a Xbox One X or S? Boy, this whole thing. And you know,
I mean, like this is where Microsoft has messed up, is that their naming conventions have just made it impossible to talk about their system.
And so yeah, they'll have to just be, you know, and once they show like, wow, look how awesome this looks on this next generation console. Yes, there is a reason to get in here. They will, I feel like, have made a smart bet, because especially in the kind of economic free fall that a lot of people are in right now, holding on to what they have for a console and being able to play next gen stuff, I think will win them a lot of people that can't afford to be like, I'm going to spend $400 or $500 on this console. I don't have a job. You know, that's going to be a hard sell come November. It is a hard sell now.
I just don't think you have to make this distinction the way that Sony has, because, you know, in the end, what Microsoft is messaging here doesn't mean that the Xbox Series X isn't for Series X built games. You know, like, I don't think anyone who knows anything about video games thinks that this system won't have developers building stuff specifically for that architecture and for that horsepower. You know, like, it's obviously they haven't shown a whole lot of those games yet, but neither is Sony for that matter. And, you know, in the end, all you're really doing, like Jeff said, is just drawing a weird line in the sand that doesn't actually mean anything in the end, because you're both going to be competing with new video games that are exclusives for your system. All Microsoft is doing is upfront telling people that, like, we are not abandoning the software that you have already purchased from us, and we are not creating a hardware ecosystem where those games will not be accessible to you on this hardware. Like, that's all it really is. And I think that the way that Jim Ryan has chosen to phrase this, I just think it's just tonally, it's all wrong for what they are trying to establish here. Even if it is effectively true, it doesn't draw the distinction the way I think he wants it to.
Yeah, like, on their face, those two statements just by themselves in a vacuum, like, one just feels better. You know what I mean? Like, right? And it's just like, you can't argue about it. Like, nope, one one seems like I'll have an easier time, and the other one seems like I gotta buy shit.
And and the other thing is, kind of, as we all know, what really comes down to is when you start showing what games and what they look like and how they play on this thing, and that's really, I think what we're all waiting for. And we will wait a little longer. Jeff Backler, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have a story that kind of leans into that.
You want to just kind of push into that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why it's just become like a theme for me. This as we approach the release of these consoles, where it's for me, it's just like just tell us what things look like. Don't deceive. And there was an interview with the team that put out that Scorn.
Yeah, Xbox. We all remember that. Abby, you remember that?
Yeah,
don't remind me.
Thing.
Let me think about Cate Blanchet in a suit again.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it's yeah. Maybe you're in better shape thinking about that. Ed Software is the developer making this game. The game's director was interviewed and basically went on to say that the trailer that was shown during that Xbox Series X showcase was in fact showcased using a RTX 2080 Ti, which kind of directly explains the language used at the top of those trailers that said, this is what we anticipate Xbox Series X games to look like. And I pointed that out right away, and I was just like, well, that's leaving room open for a lot of shenanigans, and sure enough, that's look. And again, if you want to really split hairs, I
love splitting hairs.
Split them up, right? Like, okay, side by side, will they look, that dissimilar? I don't know, but again, is it so much to just ask for, the truth? And right, like,
okay, all right.
That's thing. Like,
it's nice. I mean that the problem, the only problem I kind of have with that is like, man, that's an expensive card. That console, I mean, whatever they're doing in that thing, that's just that's an expensive piece of hardware.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just, and it's not all just anchored on that 2080.
Yes, right, of course.
It's, like there's apparently the interview says that like, those settings could have been hit with 2070 with a mixture of
only a $600 card.
Yeah. So fret not. Yeah. So I mean, look, that's what it is.
It's closed system, very different than a PC. The architecture very different. So.
Right. And maybe perhaps, and again, like this is just an extension of what we're talking about here, but to do this sort of, and I see this a lot, and I know my company is guilty of doing this very thing, but to do these one-to-one comparisons of like you said, like closed system console hardware to the seemingly endless and infinite arrangement of hardware you can have in a PC is not a fair comparison, straight up, full stop. So, but at the same time, it is a little upsetting, unnerving to have that language blasted at us from the get-go, and just sort of, whether it's the Unreal demo, whether it's that showcase, I think we're off to a not very good start with that kind of stuff.
I think it's another reason to, you always take some of this with a grain of salt until you see the game and played. Okay, let's go back into news of the absurd or news of the weird. Remember Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning, the kind of precursor to the Amalur franchise, the Copernicus, the whole thing that 38 Studios was going to make. Remember that?
Yes, I remember it vividly.
Oh my gosh, what a weird thing. It was 38 Studios, a kind of a major push for Boston publishing of games and development that went... Well,
it was Providence, to be fair. It was Rhode Island.
Oh, sorry, Rhode Island. You're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yes, it was a studio founded by Kurt Schilling.
Yes.
R.A. Salvatore, the writer, and Todd McFarlane. Mm-hmm. And they were going to make an MMO. and they put a whole studio together, and they got the state of Rhode Island to give them a whole bunch of money.
Yes.
And then they bought another studio, and that studio put out Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, which was an action RPG that was set in the same universe as this illusory MMO. And then things got so bad that the state government of Rhode Island basically fucking forced them to go bankrupt and called in their debts, and it was a whole fucking thing.
Well, get ready, and I am not making this up, and sometimes it's good because you need a little laugh. Get ready for Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning.
That's not a word. Not a word.
Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. It has been listed, and it is a remaster of Kingdoms of Amalur. Wow. And apparently after these rumors came out, and I assume somebody just got on a phone to THQ and was like, come on, Re-Reckoning, this is a joke, right? They said, no, that's absolutely true. So this is actually happening. So I immediately reached out to one Rich Gallup, who worked for 38 Studios, and said, Scott, sorry, can I get a comment on this? And he said, I'm happy for more people to play it. The team at Big Huge Games made an amazing action RPG with combat that still holds up today. I hope they include the DLC. That's where players really start to experience bits of the MMO Copernicus. So
damn, we got like an official scoop.
There you go. There you go. So thanks, Rich Gallup. There's a $40 version of this and a $110 version, a special edition of this that comes with, I assume, just one of Kurt Schilling's fingers. What is? Yep. Man, that whole story.
Yeah.
My favorite thing out of all of this is that Lincoln Chafee showed up again recently in the news because his political career more or less ended not too long after all of that. He was the one that went after 38 Studios for the money. He is now he was at least at one point running for the Libertarian presidential candidacy. That's where this all ended up.
This is being developed. So Big Huge Games, that's who did the Reckoning for 38 Studios. And then this is being developed in Germany by, I don't know, it's Kaiko, Kaiko, is being listed as a developer for the remaster. They're out of Frankfurt, Germany. Okay, there's that. I'm going to keep moving because it only gets weirder from here, folks.
Okay, let's get weird.
So when I was on the previous podcast this week, and I won't mention names, there was a thing. There was basically a post that was saying, "Get ready for some mind-blowing Sega news." I don't know if anybody else caught this happening out. In the world. Mind-blowing, bigger than console. It's gonna be huge. Yeah. Get ready for this, folks. Gonna rock your socks. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but not much.
Whoa.
We got two things here. I'm very excited to announce at least one of them. At least one of them is big. I don't know. At least one is large. Because the first one I'm going to talk to you about is actually tiny. Sega is announcing the Game Gear Micro. And if you can go just take a second, and I'll wait about 30 seconds here while you Google a picture or Google something so you can absolutely see a picture of somebody holding this in their hand. While you do that, I will describe for people who don't have access to look this up. The screen is 1.15 inches diagonally.
What
That's
happened?
A lot of inches.
I think it's still too big. I think you got to go smaller. I want it smaller and more expensive and fewer games.
Yeah, make it a fucking contact lens.
Okay, so now
this thing is the size of a micro machine.
It is tiny, and I assume they put it in the pictures they have. It is somebody with hands that are smaller to make it even look bigger, or they're going for it. It's tiny, and they put it in a giant's hands. I don't know because this thing is $50. It's around $50. It has 4 games on it. But they are making 4 different versions, different colors that come with 4 different games. So you want to go all in for $200 and your 5 inches of fun, which is not make your joke here. So if you want to go for
already doing it.
Okay, good. Your 5 inches of fun. I get it and I don't get it. I totally get it. But I totally don't get it.
Have you seen the big window that they sell with it?
I totally get it. If you're going to go all in and make a thing that nobody's going to buy, make a thing that a few people are going to buy and make it really expensive. Make it a thing that's no? Okay, they should have just put a little...
I want one.
What do
I
you
want
want? What you want? You want one so you lose it in
I don't
5
know.
seconds?
They should have put a
It's a
key.
tiny-
If anybody put keys in their pocket anymore, they should have put a keychain thing on it. It's
That's true.
so tiny, and it's so expensive, and then I scroll down a story, and thanks Polygon for the story for the image. They have if you get all 4, if you pre-order all 4 for $200, you get a magnifying glass for it. That straps
you
on.
gotta be fucking
that
kidding me.
straps onto the top of it.
What's the measurement of the inch?
1.1.
Okay, for just so I can show everyone.
Rounded
okay?
up 1.2.
Right in my hand here.
Take out a quarter. It's a quarter.
Here is a matchbook.
Yeah.
This little black square inside the matchbook, that is the size of the screen.
Yes.
It is so impossibly stupidly tiny.
I
want it. I want one. I want all 4. I want to pay more for 4. I want to pay $300 for 4 of them.
This feels like an April Fool's joke that went too far.
It could be okay. So the thing is called the Big Window Micro, is the magnifying glass you put on top of this thing so you could maybe possibly see it. But if this thing is only 1.5 inches and you have this, what looks like I don't know, a lot of our audience might not remember this, but there used to be a time when you would go to the library and you had to look through newspapers, you had to look through microfiche and sit at the big computer with the big magnifying screen. And that is exactly what this screen looks like. It looks like you were looking for a killer in 7.
Is this joke just because the original Game Gear was like somehow comically too large? Is that like the thing that they're doing?
I don't know. All right.
Because that original Game Gear looked like you were playing a toaster. It was just insane.
I have no real love for the Game Gear, so maybe this hits a lot of people's hearts.
Probably because there was nothing good to play on.
Or maybe it'll hit their heart once it enters their bloodstream because it went in through a pore on their skin, and it is so tiny. It is too small.
Yeah, fucking Martin Short is piloting that thing around. He's the one loading up the games inside there.
Nice. I like that. It is like, what battery is inside that? Is it like a watch battery?
There's no battery. It just runs off of hopes and dreams. I have no idea. It doesn't have to.
It's just an ant trapped in a fucking tiny hamster wheel.
I want one. I want to see you playing it, Vinny. I want to get one so I can see your little. You try to get some coins of Sega.
I wish
I see you with a Joy-Con.
I wish I had a quarter here. I wish, because a quarter's about an inch, right? So I wish I had a quarter to show just how tiny.
Yes, we've all seen a quarter. Don't worry.
No, like I mean, just like relative. That's a quarter. Yeah. So that's your screen. There you go. Have a good time with that.
Play some games. I'm a gamer. Look at me.
I don't know.
Well, let's move on to not even the strangest thing that was. Well, okay, this next one kind of makes sense. Maybe not for a U.S. audience or something, but okay. Sega then went out. So I had to ask Brad. I was like, Brad, is this the big news? And he's like, wait, no, did you not see this thing? And I saw the thing. There was an article on Ars Technica. Get ready for it. Sega is getting into the quote fog gaming end quote business. All right, so this actually might make a little bit of sense if you go to fog gaming.
If you go to fog gaming,
no, if you get it in fog gaming, I want to say it again. I just wanted to sing in fog gaming. So arcades are still a thing in Japan. Arcades are still happening. Arcades in some tech tree, the United States arcades kind of dead ended and just had like DDR machines, and that was kind of the end of it. Where Japan kind of doubled down on that tech tree, and they have like arcade games that are connected to the internet. You put in cards, they talk to each other. It's much more advanced, and people go to the museum.
Well, it seems like almost the infatuation that we have with like casinos is almost like maybe not with the gambling aspect of it, but just like how we're kind of like drawn to that, I guess, right? Like, is that a good way to?
Well, I mean, Japan loves pachinko machines, and you know, but I mean, really, it's just arcade machines are much more advanced, and they're on the internet. Is my point. So, what I got out of this article was that Sega is saying, well, what if we link all those arcade machines when they're not being used and use those to stream Google Stadia style the games to people's home?
Okay.
Okay, and that's
Where's
kind
the
of
fog come in?
and let's call it fog gaming
instead of cloud gaming.
Yeah, let's call it a fog computing idea. So like it's not the
cloud,
worst
the
idea.
The cloud is in the sky. The fog is on the ground where the arcade machines are. That's the fog.
You know, I think you're not far
that's
off.
right.
I think you're not
That
far
sounds
off.
right.
There is some incredible transfarring energy coming off this shit. Like this is some just ace plus, like, what are you doing energy that I am very much behind.
So like the article on Ars Technica, and I would advise everybody to go read it because it goes into some more detail. Kind of goes into why this makes sense in ways, because arcades are really struggling right now due to the coronavirus and COVID, and people can't go there. These things are already connected to the internet. Can they find a way to help these arcades out and find a way to do this? So like on its face, it kind of makes sense. It's wild. And also the pitch of being like, this is the thing, this is the news that's going to blow your mind. It's like, yeah, I guess you got it. Yeah, I guess
exactly.
I guess it kind of does. So yeah, fog gaming, fog computing. I'm ready for the fog. Take me away. Very, very interesting, intriguing. In the United States, I don't think there's anything really. The closest I can think of that we ever had was like the folding at home stuff, where we used idle, PS3s, idle PS3s to try and map. It wasn't the mapping the genome. It was trying to find a cure for cancer at the time, wasn't it? The folding at home. You guys remember that, right?
That
Okay.
sounds right.
So yeah,
I think I think the striking visual of like, an empty arcade with its lights off but the game's still on is
I know,
what's really fueling this like dystopian cyberpunk like future.
Tron-esque,
and that's what it is. Like that's maybe why this gathered some momentum. But yeah, fog computing. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Can't fog compute a pinball machine. That's all I know.
Oh man.
Sure you can't.
All right.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Alex, this was a bit of interesting news too. Tell me about Paradox.
So Paradox is a multi-country company. They have headquarters in multiple different locations, but a great number of their employees are in Sweden. As of today, I believe, all of the employees in Sweden have officially unionized. They are. I'm trying to find the name of the union real quick. It's two unions, Swedish unions, Unionen and Sacco. And they basically all employees that work for the company under in the nation of Sweden have essentially, they have collective bargaining now, and they are and from what I'm gathering, it sounds like management was on board for the most part. Like once it doesn't sound like there was like a huge contentious. I mean, there may have been, but behind the scenes. But the way it's being presented here is that the company is cool with it, and on top of that, they are at least saying that they are open to the possibilities of that taking place in their studios elsewhere. It's just that nothing has been organized at this time.
Cool. That's Paradox Interactive.
Yes.
Y'all know their games.
Yes.
And then Abby, why should we all be excited about ladders? Finally, the headline. Okay, there are no ladders in The Sims, only steps.
There are no ladders, only steps, which has been quite the point of contention for a long time. There also are no bunk beds, which people have been wanting for a long time. So ladders are a huge thing, especially when they came out with tiny homes. They had the tiny home expansion pack a while ago, and they did not have ladders. So you'd have to have like these full ass staircases in your tiny homes for lofts and shit. It just didn't work, and it didn't make sense. And now you've got the beautiful ladders that take up 1 square of space, and it is glorious. And I can't wait to play with them. And I think it's a very exciting update.
It's like was it in other versions of The Sims, or is this like new for The Sims?
This is, I believe, the first time The Sims has had ladders.
Wow.
I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time, unprecedented, The Sims has ladders. They're making history with
truly
it.
Truly incredible times.
Precisely.
And I assume that as knowing practically, let's just call it next to nothing for sake of argument about The Sims. How tall can you make a house? Like, can you make a ladder that goes way up to like the sky?
So, okay. how the ladders work is they work similarly to stairs. So I believe you need a piece of flooring below the ladder and a piece of flooring on top of it to put the ladder there.
Okay.
So your houses, the way they work and the stairs scale with them is they have like 3 different wall heights. Basically, you have like a short wall height, medium wall height, and a tall wall height.
Okay.
And I think you could have up to 4 floors up and then I think floor down in the basement. I could be wrong on that one. Don't quote me on it. But so that's not, you can't just make like one big tall ladder up to the very tippy top, I don't think. I think you'd have to do it floor by floor.
If you can do me this favor, if you get in with this ladder, can you do the thing where you just make a ladder that's a normal size ladder, 1 floor, and then do the thing where you scale it all the way up, hold that button and scale it so it's gigantic, and see if they actually climb the ladder or if they'll just go like 1 rung to the next floor and that's the end of it.
I want to know if they become super big when they climb it.
I hope. What's
fun is how much you love that like shrinking and growing thing in The Sims. There's also a thing I think you would very much enjoy, which is where if you really go into the meat of the cheats, you can go and you can set an object to someone's head. So like let's say you made someone's head a chair. The real meat of like
why don't we have a feature called The Meat of the Cheats where we like play through like cheat stuff? That's great. Good
Done.
shot. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
It's very good.
Happy to be a part of the Giant Bomb legacy of come up with a name and then figure out a show around it.
Welcome to it. Sorry, yes, going to The Meat of the Cheats.
Yes, and then you can put like, let's say a chair or a bathtub or like a dance mat or something on people's heads, and then you can make other Sims use that item, and then you can have like a wild stack of like a bunch of people looking around while people are like sitting in chairs and like bathtubs flopping around.
I feel like you're asking me this in like a kind of not like a jokey way, but I'm honestly going to answer your question and be like, I don't know, why are we not doing this? Why are we not? why in the next episode?
Yeah, let's do it. I think you would very much enjoy that. All right, Meat of the Cheats. You and me, we're going to go into The Sims. I'm going to show you all the cheats, Vinny.
Okay.
Meat of the Cheats.
Yeah. First episode.
Put it on the calendar.
Meat of the Cheats. Can't wait to see that show art. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
All right. I'm looking forward to some ladder stuff, and of course, you can continue to watch Abby in the 100 Baby Sims Challenge if you want more of that. How's that going?
Usually goes every other week.
How's that going?
So far, it's going well. Dobby has had a number of children. 1 in the oven right now. This baby he's currently pregnant with is Santa's baby.
Oh wow!
So
wow! It's just like a soap
fun.
opera. Wow! Don't miss that episode. That's going to be
truly
real.
Yes. The edited one. It's been kind of a wild week. I think probably not next week, but the next week after, the weekend before is probably when it'll go up.
All right. Anybody else have any news, gaming related stuff we want to get to before we head over into the email section? If not, I'm going to cue up this music here. Stick around. We're going to take a short break. And we'll be right back with some emails. And we're back. Sorry, I'd listen, those who are watching live, and listen to the rest of that song. There's like a transforming sample in that song that you don't get a lot of those these days. But if you're watching this recorded, boy, you heard nothing. so glad we're back. Here we go. We are going to head into the emails now. If you've got an email, you can send it to Giant Bomb. Yeah, and just do that. You can send it to beastcast@giantbomb.com. That is beastcast@giantbomb.com. Beastcast@giantbomb.com. Abby Russ, we've gone through the emails this week. Again, if we don't read your email here, know that somebody has read it. And usually, in most cases, I would say in probably almost all cases, if you have something that was wanted to read off the air or something like that, it has been forwarded to the appropriate people. So thank you for sending it. Abby, what do we have? And thank you, everybody, for sending stuff. What do we have today?
Okay, Alex, will you read this one from Henry from the UK, please?
Sure thing. Hey, Beastcast. Having extra time in lockdown has allowed me to go back and finally finish Red Dead 2, as I was super busy law student when it came out, and that game requires a lot of attention. I've now finally realized the masterpiece that is Red Dead 2. So my question is, are there any games where you guys have gone back after a long absence and completely changed your mind on them?
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Abby,
Okay.
sounds like you're ready.
Okay.
You got one in the chamber.
No,
What do you got?
we seemed so ready. So
I've
excited.
got the easy one that which is funny because people on the site or some people on the site live through, which is Persona 4. Persona 4, which I had played a little bit of, and then we did that endurance run for. But Horizon Zero Dawn is another one that I played a little bit of and then kind of bounced off of, and then went back and played it and loved it. Actually adored that game. For flaws and all, which in my mind that game is fantastic. So that's the one that's kind of jumps out to me.
Wow, interesting. I should go back to that game because I feel like I played it for a while and I was real lukewarm on it. I was like, this is fine. It's perfectly fine. And I never finished it and didn't really have much urge to.
Yeah, I
guess I'm just saying. Well, like, what was it that was like?
Once the story started picking up, I thought it was really interesting. It was really interesting sci-fi story.
Okay.
The only one I can think of that I remember putting down because I just wasn't feeling it at the time and then picked it up later and ended up really enjoying it is Max Payne 3, which that game has problems for sure.
The game's all right,
I think
though, yeah.
It's all right. It's, and I think I was just like, having enjoyed the Remedy games, I think the difference in production and difference in style, like, kind of just didn't hit me the right way the first time. But when I went back and ended up finishing the whole thing, I was like, yeah, no, this is a good game. It is not a Remedy Max Payne game, but it is a good Max Payne game. And I can already think of a few games off the top of my head that I will probably have this reaction to when I eventually do pick them up again. Breath of the Wild is certainly one. That is a game that really I tried hard to get into when it came out, and it just did not work for me at all. Not because I think it's bad, but it just didn't resonate with me at the time. And I feel like once I actually do the work and sit down and play that thing the way it's meant to be played, I probably will end up loving it. It just hasn't happened yet.
It's a pretty tough one to come through the other side on. Of I wasn't enjoying this. I went back. I still am not enjoying it, but I finished it. So I feel like there's going to be fewer games where you're like, or a game where you're like, I'm loving this, put it down, and then come back and hate it. I feel like most of these, in my mind, are for some reason or another shelved it and then came back and found a spot in my life to play it in. Sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, I feel like for me, mine was, it's not necessarily like, oh, I played a little bit of it and then I like hated it and came back. It was like I watched people play Fallout New Vegas. And I was like, this game is ugly as hell. Like, it's so brown. Whenever you pick an object up, all the other objects like do this. It's too open. I don't know. I was like, I didn't get the appeal of it. And then like a while later, I finally played it myself and I was like, I love this. This is incredible.
That's funny. I had we got to talk, Jeff. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Who am I, right?
Hold on, let me just put it in drive again and just roll right through this conversation. It just reminded me, Abby, of those. I don't know if you guys remember those 999 games. I had watched some people play those and was like, I'm not into these at all, and then really, really liked those as well. Jeff Bakalar, what do you have to say?
Totally unrelated. Podcasting over Google Meet is just a series of that thing where like you unlock the door for the passenger
yes.
and they pull it and then it's unlocked and you're like, no, you gotta undo it again. It's just that over and over again. I'm thinking of Uncharted Lost Legacy. You ever play that?
Oh, yes. I love that game. That game is so underrated.
Super underrated. I played maybe the first 3 hours and I don't even remember why I bounced off it. And then it wasn't until like late last year did I feel like I had forgotten about it like a dick. And then I come back in and I finish it and I'm just like, well, this was great. So I was super stoked. I think
it's probably my favorite Uncharted game.
It's real good. And yeah, that for me. Hell yeah.
All right. Next email. Thank you very much for that one, Henry. Next email, Abby.
Jeff, you want to talk? Why don't you read this one from Carson?
No, it's locked. Okay. Thanks for all this talking. Cold or hot room when you sleep?
Oh, this is
Okay,
not even a question, right?
I'm glad you've given me this because anyone who answers hot room is some sort of monster person.
But like how cold or how cold and how hot are we talking? Because like I think my thing is like if it is an uncomfortable temperature, either uncomfortably hot or uncomfortably cold, I would prefer uncomfortably hot. But if it is a slightly like, oh, it's just like a little on the warm side, a little on the cold side. I went like a little on the cold side so I can like get under a blankie.
Okay, I have to interject here.
But,
I have to
but
interject.
it wasn't little hot or little cold.
It's not like if I were trapped in a freezer and like maybe gonna like be like I can't. I'm gonna maybe pass out here from hypothermia. Definitely be like, wow, okay, it's 90 and humid. I'll take that. But like if there's like a blanket and a bed that I can crawl under and snuggle up in, you can take it down until the sheets cake over with ice. I think.
I
agree. So in college, I can't get away with this anymore because I live with someone, but I sleep in the same bed with someone. But in college, I would open my window in the middle of winter, not like crack it, open my window in the middle of winter, let it get to like 50 in my room. I don't know. What would it get down to? High 40. But as long as you have a big ass comforter, oh, forget it. And now I realize this is the extreme, but if I could do it now, I would still do it. And I definitely get away with more than I should be allowed to in my bedroom, for sure, with temperature.
Yes.
Hey.
Hey, I followed that up quick enough. So, give me that. Give me cold all day.
Yeah, my body kind of runs hot as it is, so like being in a hot room is maybe the most uncomfortable fucking thing in the world for me. So like I need cold. I need low temperatures. I need a cold pillow to lay on. I don't even really care if I have a blanket. If there's a blanket, great. But if not, I will fucking lay on top of a bed in fucking 50-degree room, and I will be stoked.
Yeah.
There's no products that are like, want to stay hot in your bed? Like,
well, it's called a blanket. That is literally called a blanket.
Do you have a problem where you don't sweat through your sheets?
Nothing is ever like, hey, are you tired of being super cozy? Like, come on.
Well,
look, I love a good cozy bed. I love a good cozy comforter. Do not get me wrong, but I don't want it to. I would prefer it hot over cold if it was like a situation like. I guess my thing is like, I can sleep. Like if I wake up sweaty, it's like, well, whatever. But I slept through the night. If I am cold at night, I am like a tense little ball. I wake up the next day sore. I don't sleep well at all. Like I don't know how you can do it.
Okay, all right, yeah, Abby, I'm gonna jump in here and I'm gonna back this one. I'm gonna give a different example to back this one. If you've ever been camping and you don't have a good separation between the floor and it's nighttime and the floor cold seeps into your sleeping bag, it is impossible to sleep in a way that I cannot deal with that versus like a hot, humid sleeping environment, right? Like I could probably eventually fall asleep in a sweaty tent, but like if you get that like you don't have the floor mat in the tent, holy cow, you're tossing and turning and waking up, and you wake up and your back is all messed up. So like maybe that's a little extreme in a survival situation or something like that, but like it's happened in camping. Like you go to camping and like somebody brought the good inflatable mattress pad for their sleeping bag, and you've got the unfoldy egg crate thing, and you're like, oh man, this thing kind of stinks. Maybe I can use yours. So that is a situation, but given everything else, at a bedroom, in a shared house, yes, I think I've even hit the point where like I think the kids and the family are like just make sure it's cold so dad isn't like laying atop the bed like in his underwear like some kind of like animal that needs to be fanned with the fan on. Can we just put the AC on for a little bit, throw a blanket on top of him?
But Abby, I do relate in the sense that like it is tough to sometimes find the right temperature combination balance between, because give me as during the summer you can't really get it super freezing in the house unless you're just
blasting
some sort of
AC.
Right. So I feel like I might be embarrassed to say what I keep my my upstairs AC at night. What would be over the top AC? We don't go past 78. 78?
I don't keep my AC on most of the time. Like I haven't even put my AC in yet. Like I also grew up in like, Boston where everything is old and like there just isn't air conditioning. So I had like years and years and years of summer without any AC.
Yeah, I did too.
And I get that. And like, you go to the mountains and there's like mountain air, it's fine. In humid, Grundle, New Jersey. Okay, it is.
Well, DC's like a swamp. I mean, that is a.
This is swamp. This
Pretty
is
gross.
swamp
Or
in
not,
New Jersey.
Boston gets pretty hot.
Dude, 78 degrees is just hot air. You're like, that is not air conditioning.
Well, I think at some point we looked it up and it was like that is an energy efficient way and we found that it's a compromise of like if you keep the fans moving, circulating the air, and you go outside and come back in a lot, it really feels cooler when you come back in.
Yes, if you light yourself on fire and then come back in, sure. By comparison, 78 degrees.
We do 78 for the AC, which we again don't keep on also that much, and then 68 for the heat. I think is where we go. So
I mean, I would say 68 is too cold for air conditioning. I mean, you're really making that thing work. But at night, like we have the Nest thing, so it goes down automatically. At night, during the sleep hours, we have it at 71.
I have okay. That doesn't seem. I will go in and I will sneak through the house sometimes and do like a, And then,
you've become that guy.
Yeah,
fighting it.
And then come back around and then be like, put it up before bed. But just so you get that extra little blast when it's like has to work again, and you're like, oh, it's gonna be cooler for a little bit.
It's a great feeling.
But I had growing up on Long Island with the in-wall or in-window air conditioner. Yeah. We had a very weird, maybe it's not weird, air conditioning situation where it was just the fear of the electricity bill with the air conditioner was just ground into me in a way that was when my dad would come home from work. The air conditioner had to be put on a half hour before he'd come home, but not before that. You couldn't run it unless the parents were home. And then my parents had an air conditioner in their window in their room only. There was no central air in the house. So it was definitely some kind of this is a pure, when you're an adult, you'll have air conditioning, but if you kids raise this electricity bill, we're all going to be out in the heat. So respect the air conditioner. And listen, now sometimes when I get off of that bus and I'm like the air conditioner isn't on when I come home, I almost want to buy that Nest thing. Not quite enough to be like, oh, I just want to start the AC before I get off. Sometimes the buses, remember buses? Sometimes buses would just not have their AC on and you're just sitting there.
That's brutal.
That's so bad.
You don't miss that.
Don't miss that. Anyway, that's my air conditioning story.
Okay.
Yeah,
78 is. Does it even go on?
Well, that's the thing. When it goes on, you really want it to go on because it means it's really hot. So, hey, keeping things at 78 is kind of fine. Listen, it's not bad. If you're keeping the house at 78,
it's also you're not in the sun.
Yeah,
I feel like when it's 78 and you're in the shade outside, it's this is all right.
Here's another pre-quarantine thing. When we'd have people over. In a part more humans in the house, we'd put it down because of the body heat stuff like that. So.
Oh right, because you're like oh, these people are gonna think we're crazy.
I don't want to be judged. So when Jeff would come over, when Backler would come over, I put it down to 72 and be like, yeah, AC, huh? You love it. It's not it's. Don't get me wrong. It's not like it is 72 in the house and the air conditioner is blowing 78.
Yeah, that's what I picture.
No, it is still blowing cold air to make the house cooler. All right, Abby, what's next?
Okie dokie, Vinny. Will you please read this one from Matt?
Sure. Have you ever played a game where you hate the story, but the gameplay is so fun you can't quit? Or vice versa. A game with a story you love, but it's a chore to finish. I feel like I have done more on a story I love, but it's a chore to finish. I'm trying to think of an example where I just kind of was like, oh, I just want to see this through to the end. Nothing's popping to mind. Maybe The Witcher 1. But I could think.
Oh yeah.
But I think by the end I actually kind of liked the gameplay in that. So definitely was tough to wrap my head around at first. I don't know. You guys have anything off the top of your head?
I think for me, a lot of is it David Cage, the Heavy Rain type of stuff, where the stories are so bad and so stupid. They're just so fucking stupid. But getting to make choices and having real consequences for them, I really, really love. So I just power through the stupidity of the stories to get to make choices, basically.
I mean, that's fair.
One that I can think of that is very much like I'm engaged with this story, and it didn't necessarily end up in a place that I super loved, but I was into it the whole way through, despite the fact that playing it was maybe more of a chore than anything. Was L.A. Noire, a game that is cumbersome and real wonky when it comes to some of its mechanics, and especially the whole fucking liar truth shit that they were trying to do in that game, which either worked really well or worked the most not well. Playing it was not really necessarily that fun, but there was enough going on there with the story and the characters that I was engaged with it the whole way through. And I certainly don't regret playing through the entirety of that game. I'm trying to think of one where I feel like if I hate a story, I don't want to play it. Like if I hate the characters, if I hate what's happening in it, and it's a narrative game, it's real hard for me to want to stick with it. Like Mad Max is a game that I can think of where the story is the most fucking tossed off nonsense and barely exists and is not good or interesting in any way, shape, or form. And granted, I was reviewing it, but I would have kept playing because the systems in that game are just fine-tuned enough to where you're doing the checklists and the checklists are fun, even though it's really just your lizard brain telling you it's fun and it's not necessarily actually that exciting. But that was, again, mostly for review purposes. I think at some point, if I hadn't been reviewing that game, I would have given up on it.
All right.
Yeah, I feel like there's been a good amount of kind of like maybe the 2D platformers, the side-scrolly stuff that where sometimes I'm just like, I find myself mashing my way through, some of like the scrolly text, where I'm just like, I like playing this thing. I'm not really super interested in what these, pixels have to say. That's not always the case, but sometimes. And then I feel like a lot, maybe this is just more like exclusive to genres, but like, I feel like there's half the shooters I play, I'm just like not interested in what the story is going to do. I just want to go all shooty. But yeah,
I will throw in this one. It might be not the definition of this question or right in the wheelhouse, but some of those earlier Assassin's Creed games had a lot of like sneaking, the tailgating missions and all that stuff that at some point got pretty repetitive. And I think a lot of the narrative stuff really propelled me through those moments of those games of the gameplay there. And also some of the gameplay definitely the gameplay in, not Odyssey. What's the one before Odyssey?
Origins.
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 I don't know Mario.
No, the gameplay in that's pretty good. In Assassin's Creed Origins, at some point, just like they would just throw like enemies at you and be kind of grindy, and you're just kind of doing the caves and all that stuff in ways that I was like, well, I really want to get these side missions. I just want to do all the like mop up side missions and stuff, and just kind of get through that stuff. Just it wasn't that entertaining, but the story did propel me there. Okay, next up, Abby.
Yes. Alex, will you please read this one from Aaron? The title here is wrong, but it's from Aaron.
Okay, I see it. The devil challenges you to a match of a multiplayer game of your choosing. If you win, you get a golden prize of your choosing. If you lose, he gets your soul. What game would you choose, and what golden prize would you choose? Can I back out of this? I don't. No golden anything is worth this.
Oh no, gets my soul. First of all, I'm done. Thank you all for being with me. Like, there's no multiplayer game I will win. And this is a video game, right?
Yeah, I think that's the idea.
Okay.
I think it could be anything. I think for me, like a mystery or a logic puzzle game, I think I could probably do pretty well. I also think like you play with the devil, you're gonna lose, right?
That's the whole point, right?
That's the moral.
Right?
That's the moral of the
Yeah.
story. Yeah.
But he always loses in the stories, so who knows? Maybe the devil just sucks shit at everything.
The question is, what do you feel confident about, and what prize do you want? I think that, or maybe like gun game. I love gun game. I just want to play gun game and Call of Duty.
I imagine the devil getting so frustrated and smashing the controller down.
I this gun like 4 times. I'm getting stabbed.
I mean,
what gun are you on?
What
are you up to? What'd you get? What are you up to over there?
Shotgun.
I mean, my obvious answer is I challenge him to a drum off, right? Like that's the obvious.
Yes,
yeah, that's sure, totally.
Ooh, but that like the devil playing instruments never works. Or I guess it does work if you're
no,
like
it does.
Fiddle.
It works every time.
If you're the fiddle, yeah.
Fucking Charlie Daniels beat him, for God's sakes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Abby, what would you pick for your prize? What's your golden prize?
Does it have to be made of gold, or is golden prize like a metaphor?
I think it's a metaphor in this case.
Okay, I'm just gonna go with the most like I'm not going to go for some altruistic thing here. Okay, just put that out there. It's going to be a fun.
Yes. Right.
I think I would want like free money to travel wherever all the time. You know what I mean? Like I would just want like open access. Like I can travel in first class and go anywhere, anytime.
Great. That sounds like a fun thing. Would the travel? Okay, let me just because now the devil's casting your wish. Ready? Every flight is delayed in 37 hours.
I mean, that's flying, right?
Right, exactly. Like, no, you got me. I'm just stuck in airports the entire time. So would it be like the traveling on the plane, or you just want to be at the place?
I mean, I was going for like a realism versus like yeah, I always want magic and teleportation. Sure, give me that any day of the week. I mean, but I was like, I get to fly and it's like luxurious.
Okay.
I'm in first class. I get to lie in a bed.
Yes, makes traveling nice.
Foods. Yeah.
Okay.
And then also I'm like going wherever the fuck I want for free. You know, like I want to travel in luxury.
Okay.
And then also see cool places.
Jeff, is there like a I feel like maybe I'm putting you into a box. Is there like some like NHL 95 or 96?
Yeah, that's cute. That's cute.
Is that good?
I don't have an answer for this.
Okay.
Oh, man, this is going to be weird. And I feel like maybe Alex might be the only one that understands my reference here. When you talk about like the devil consuming souls through playing video games, you've seen that movie Stay Tuned, right?
No, but I know the movie you're talking about.
It's with John Ritter.
Yeah.
It's about how Satan has a cable cable service.
Oh, I've seen that.
And he like sucks in customers with like the allure of a really affordable cable subscription package, and the satellite dish in their backyard sucks them in to a 24-hour cable a product with 666 channels, and like every satanic reference is so over the top and like on the nose. Anyway,
yes,
that movie. Go watch that movie. That movie's, I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway,
it's real fucking weird.
It's a fucking weird ass movie from the 90s. Yeah, I don't have an answer. I just started thinking of that movie. That movie's all right.
John Ritter, you said?
John Ritter's in it. Yeah, Eugene Levy's in it.
Wow.
It's a trip.
Yeah. All right, next question. I'm terrible at multiplayer games. I crack under pressure. Like all of these things would conspire against me. I might as well just go in for
do it like it'd be a board game.
Still, I don't know.
Okay.
I might as well just do a coin flip at that point and just like
yeah, good odds there.
Call it
how little confidence you have in yourself.
Call it in the air.
You play for work.
Yeah, no. But I'm terrible at them. Like I don't take, like the devil is going to be, what's the devil doing all day? Down there just playing like Fortnite and just being like, yeah.
Poking people in the butt with a pitchfork over and over and over again.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I could get, like I'd have to just go for one. Let's assume the devil has all the knowledge, right? You couldn't pull an obscure game out. The devil cheats. That's the whole thing. The devil cheats. And like, that's not fair.
We're set up to fail with this one, but yes.
I don't know.
Anyway,
just come visit when you can travel all over the place. Come visit my soul.
All right, I'll take the first bus back to hell.
Yeah.
See how's it going.
Yeah, let's go on to the last one here. Last email.
Jeff, will you read this one from Morgan from London, please?
I most certainly can. Hey, Beasterinos. Does a set of Joy-Con count as one controller or two? Does it only count as two if each is being used independently? Does it count as 0 if attached to the Switch? Please help me with this issue.
Here's the thing. A Joy-Con is an individual unit. 2 Joy-Cons snapped into a system or into the hub. That is a single controller. If you turn it sideways and you use each Joy-Con as an individual controller, that is 2 Joy-Cons, 2 controllers. That is it. That's the whole context. That's the way it works.
Okay. So, I have a question, Smarty Pants.
Go ahead.
Let's say, sorry, Jeff, do you want to talk first?
No, I'll follow you.
Okay. So let's say, what about like on the Wii, you got a controller and a nunchuck? Like, what about then? Or what about when you got like a controller and then you plug another controller into it? Like, that's like the opposite of this problem where it's like, this is one controller, but 2 separate parts.
Here's what it is that the Wii remote is by itself a controller at all times. A nunchuck is never unto itself. It never works or does anything unless it is plugged into the Wii remote. So therefore, it is part of a single controller. It is not by itself an individual controller. That is what I believe.
Okay.
I'm gonna say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff. No, I'm talking now. You can't talk. That's just kidding. Go ahead, Jeff.
I don't understand the question. Maybe I just feel like what you're asking is, does it like a set of Joy-Con? And I guess we're beyond the pluralization argument of that too.
Yeah.
But the set is not one control. It's two, right? Like there's because you can have a left Joy-Con and a right Joy-Con work independently and do separate things.
But that's the point, though, is that they form like Voltron and they become a single controller in certain contexts.
Sure.
Okay, I will. Here's my 2 cents. Maybe it's somewhere between all three of you, right? I think the Joy-Con is one controller, and then when you're forced to use half a controller, it sucks. Like that it is a half a controller when you have a single one. So I think it is one controller because those things on their own, who wants to use those? Nobody wants to use those. They're terrible. It's a half a controller. It's not fully functional. Thank you.
Okay.
I can't argue.
Yeah.
I can't argue.
I think they're two controllers that serve as functions together as one controller.
That's what I said.
Yeah, that's what Alex said. I think it is
No,
one.
I'm the first one to say this. It's my idea and mine alone. I also think a nunchuck is only an extension of a Wii controller, therefore it's all one controller. My idea. It's original and mine.
Nintendo, why you gotta make things so hard for everybody?
Jeff in the chat said half controllers, half A presses. Think about it. Have you also said half A presses?
Yeah,
I love that.
About it.
Yeah, think about it. Okay, let's wrap this one up. There are no corrections.
Woo!
Another perfect show. Another put one on the board.
Guys.
Pop. Weeks with the perfect show. 1. Okay, thanks everybody for listening today. Wow. Wow. I'll repeat what I said at the top of the show. Thank you so much for everybody who's been able to get out there and make their voices heard and support what needs supporting. Not gonna go over the whole thing again, but thank you. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Abby. Thank you, Jeff Bacalar. And thanks everybody out there. Also, it's a lot of pressures coming in and a lot to juggle and manage. So hopefully everybody out there is keeping their headspace as much as they can. And here we go into the summer. It's going to be a wild one. It's I have a it's a lot. I have a like right after this or a little after this, there's a town hall, a virtual town hall, which has been pretty good to figure out what's going on and all that stuff. It's just a lot. It's a lot to keep up with. So thanks everybody for listening. Go tune in to what we've been doing weekly. It continues with the content, and I'll just reiterate here again that even more so as things remain fluid and dynamic, we might shift our schedule around. We've kind of started doing Friday stuff as premium, but we might change that around once the not E3 stuff kicks up, and when we start covering more of that stuff, we'll have to move stuff around to cover press conferences. We might have the Beastcast move around. I think you heard us because it was on the air a little earlier talking about how we're even going to do next week's if we want to hit embargo stuff. So I know some of the messaging or where stuff is and what time stuff is going up isn't always clear, and I'm sorry about that. But try and keep an ear out, and we'll try and get in front of it as much as we know when we can. And now I feel like that is enough to start the music here for the outro. Hey, try and stay safe this weekend, if you can. I'm gonna let this one just ride out here at the end. I don't really have that much more to say. Just gonna listen to this music.
Let's do it.
Just kind of go.
Just want to know, Vinny, I appreciate you. Jeff, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Alex, I appreciate you. I appreciate our audience.
Thank you.
I appreciate our mod.
Abby, speaking of appreciating, the charity stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, hurry up. You only got 30 seconds.
Oh, it's at 9 p.m. Eastern this Friday. Come and watch, please. It should be a fun time. I really would love to see you there. I think right now, it's not set in stone, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be supporting, I believe it's called Color of Change, which is a great organization. You can check out more of their info. I think it's colorofchange.org. It's a little on the fly, so I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's right. But I hope to see everybody there, 9 p.m. Eastern this Friday, tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, Abby. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
If it's your birthday, happy birthday out there. Wow. Happy birthday to you. We'll be back next week.